What's up, y'all? Welcome to Martell's Movie Madness. I am your host, as always, Ryan Martell. Of course, you know that. You're listening to the show. This week on the show, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite family-friendly spooky movies. But first, you all know that I've got to do some things. I've got to plug some dates. I've got to tell you all about the social media and the Patreon. Once I get all that out of the way, though, that's what we're going to do. We're going to count down the top 10 family-friendly spook movies. Okay, so, first of all, let's get into the dates to plug. First let me say, hopefully you guys enjoyed last week's episode with Brooklyn Ewig. She is fantastic. Her and her entire crew are just great people. I've enjoyed hanging out with them. The couple of times I've gotten to, she's an incredibly talented filmmaker. I don't know if I stressed that enough on her intro. She Was So Pretty and She Was So Pretty to Be Good for Goodness Sake are both fantastic movies. I can't wait to see what she does for Tales from the Creep. So yeah, those are going to be fantastic. But now let's get into the dates that I've got to plug here. If you're listening to this on Patreon, which hopefully you are, or hopefully at least some of you are, you're listening to it on Sunday, October 13th, which means you've got a couple more days to check out Child's Play and Creepshow at the Airsley Grand Cinema for the Retro Horror Series, which ran from the 11th to the 17th of October. If you're listening on the day of recording, you've got one more day to check that out. That is tonight. Like, if you're listening to this at 5 o'clock, you got 2 hours to get there. So make your way to Charlotte. Go check out those great movies at this cool ass theater. They do this thing every year. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to miss this week due to unforeseen circumstances. My car broke down on me at work the other day, so I am currently without transportation. So next we got October 18th, starting the Friday after this goes out to the public, and running through the 24th, we've got Halloween 3 and Nightmare on Elm Street 3, both playing at the Airsley Grand Cinema for the Retro Horror Series. Two fucking great 80s movies, great 80s horror movies. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, is among the best in the franchise. Halloween 3 is super underrated. Season of the Witch, people give it a lot of hell because there's no Michael Myers, but honestly, like, take away the fact that Michael Myers existed and don't expect Michael Myers when you're watching that movie, and it's a really good, fun movie. The next week, October 25th through the 31st, the week of Halloween, Return of the Living Dead and Day of the Dead are playing at Airsley Grand Cinema as part of the Retro Horror Series. Again, both of those are really cool movies. They're both zombie movies, and I think they both came out in the same year. I want to say they were. That's the theme. There is they came out in '86, and they're zombie movies. So yeah, those are fucking cool movies. Go check those out. Of course, we got the Cult Movies in the Cave going on October 29th at Vizart Video. The cult movie this month is Paper House. I don't know much about Paper House, but looks cool from the cover art. They're also doing a Halloween mixtape after Paper House. So it's going to be a double feature with Halloween mixtape and Paper House. October 29th at Vizart Video, of course, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Go ahead and go check that out. Hang out with Micah and the crew. VHS Potluck this month is going to be on October 30th. Of course, the theme is horror, so bring out your horror VHS tapes. If you have not been to a VHS Potluck yet, and you live in the Charlotte area, you should come on out to that at Vizart Video because it's very fun. You end up watching movies you'd never watch otherwise, and they're just off the wall and off the rails fun. Like I said before, if you've never been and this is your first time listening to the podcast, VHS Potluck, basically what you do is Um, People bring tapes that they haven't watched, and they go off of what no one in the crowd has seen for the first movie, and then they pick that one randomly, and then they vote on the rest of the movies to see which one they watch as the double feature. You don't have to bring a tape, and both of the events that I plug here for VisArt, the Cult Movies in the Cave and this one, are free. Donations are, of course, encouraged strongly to keep them doing events like this and to help them stay in business. They serve refreshments they sell like drinks and stuff at the shows, so go on out there, show your support for local businesses. VisArt Video is a non-profit, so you're basically just keeping them open by giving them business and helping pay their employees. But of course, Halloween night, we've also got Martell's Movie Madness first annual fan appreciation extravaganza Halloween double feature. I'm going to be playing Ernest Scared Stupid as the early show and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as the late show. The information on where you can go to see that is going to be all over our Facebook and Instagram. It's going to be at 27 North Congress Street in York, South Carolina. There's going to be a costume contest for both kids and adults. The early show is family friendly, so everybody's welcome. The late show is for adults only. Of course, parental discretion will be strongly advised. Like if you're bringing kids, if you're bringing preteens and teens, we may let you accompany them to watch the movies, the late movie. But we're giving you a fair warning. There will be a burlesque performance, hopefully still. I'm not 100% sure if that's still happening or not, but as of right now, they haven't canceled with me directly, so I'm banking on it. But there will be costume contests for both adults and children. There will be VHS giveaways. I've got a Munsters action figure I'm giving away. We're going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We're going to have a little fun on Halloween night. I'm putting together some trailer and commercial reels for the show. So you want to come on out to that. It's free. There's going to be free candy. Of course, the theater always sells popcorn. I'm thinking about making some chili to sell. The theater sells beer and wine, if that's your thing for that night. What else can I say? Oh, it's free. So come on out. It's free on Halloween night. If you're feeling up to it, you can get there super early. At 5:40, they're gonna show the Addams Family, the new Addams Family movie. So you can get the Addams Family, Ernest Scared Stupid, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Basically for the price of the ticket for the Addams Family, and the gas that you drove out to get there. So you want to come on out to that because it's going to be a lot of fun and it's free. But those are all the dates I've got for this week. Of course, you want to follow us on all social media at Martell's Movie Madness on Facebook and Instagram, at Movie Madness 69 for Twitter. Yeah, Movie Madness 69 on Twitter. It's fucking hilarious. But that was literally the only thing close to the show name that I could get. Everything else was taken. The pick of the week this week is The Shining. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, to be exact. Because there was a Stephen King remake of it. Not sure, I can't remember when it came out, but it was not as good as the Kubrick version. But I gave that a 5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. I just watched it again for the first time in at least a couple years the other night. Man, it's fucking insane. So intense and so eerie and spooky and just fucking terrifying when it has to be. Hell of a slow burn. So next we got the What You Watching. Here we go. What You Watching, Ryan Martell. I watched Booksmart from VisArt Video. I rented that at VisArt Video, and I give it a 4 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Booksmart has Uh, One of my favorite young comedic actresses in it, Beanie Feldstein is her name. Uh, I think she's Jonah Hill's little sister, but she is just, I don't know what it is about her that if I now that when I see her in things, like, it makes me want to watch them more. She's a cutie pie, and she's funny, and she has a presence on screen. She really has a way of conveying emotion, I think. She's in that new What We Do in the Shadows TV series as well, which is pretty cool. I've just started watching it. I'm a couple episodes in. Loving it so far. It's hilarious. But yeah, Booksmart is about two, like, nerdy girls who realize the day before graduation that they spent their entire high school career focusing on school when they could have been still focusing on school, but having fun in the meantime while they were focusing on school, because all the people they thought were slackers got into the same schools that they did. So yeah, they try to pack in 4 years worth of partying in one night, and shenanigans ensue, of course. I thought it was great though, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Ichi the Killer, also another Vizart video rental. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Super fucking gory. It's super fucking perverted and horny. Very, like, dirty movie almost. But it's super fucking cool. It's listed as like a horror movie, but it's really more of a like an action movie with horrific shit going on in it. So that's cool. Those are the Vizart video rentals for this week. I had one more, but I didn't get to watch it before I recorded this, so I'm not gonna put it on here. Netflix, I watched The Eyes of My Mother, which is another weird artsy horror movie that I watched. Like, tonally and, like, stylistically, it could not be more night and day from Ichi the Killer. Whereas Ichi the Killer shows you everything, all the blood and guts. The Eyes of My Mother doesn't show you very much at all. But in a way that makes it scarier, because you're wondering what she's doing. And you're wondering, you know what she's doing, but you're wondering how she's doing it. Which is insane, and it's so fun to watch. Well, not... Fun is not a word that you use to describe this movie, but it's a really good watch. It's super tense and very eerie. It, of course, does have some subtitles. It is partially in English and partially in Portuguese. So, if you don't mind reading subtitles, it's definitely worth a watch. Like I said, I rated it 5 out of 5, so it's definitely a fucking great movie, in my opinion. I watched El Camino on Netflix, the Breaking Bad movie. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little disappointed with El Camino. Breaking Bad to me is such a great television show. It had really good stories and tension and drama, and the acting was fantastic. The movie was, like I said, the movie was okay. Like, it had all the acting that I wanted from the Breaking Bad movie. It had, the performances were there, and the story was there too. Like, it was a good story. I just feel like it would have been better broken up as a show. It would have been better as like a 5-part miniseries with an hour long each. I feel like you need that long to tell that story. Maybe I'm wrong though. But that's just the way I feel about it. It's a 2.5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of the show, though, because it is really good, and it does give you that closure that you want, I guess, from Jesse. On Shudder, I watched Twins of Evil. These are all movies that I did for the 31 Days of Halloween, so if you're if you're subscribed to me on YouTube, which you should be, I don't have a URL for that right now, but you can definitely find the videos on the Facebook page. So go click on that, subscribe from there. I think I gotta have like 100 followers before I can edit my URL now. Whatever. So go give me a subscription. These are all movies that I did for that 31 Days of Halloween. So I've already talked about them a little bit on there. Twins of Evil, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It is a like erotic vampire movie. It's a Hammer film. Very fun watch. Definitely probably was more scary and racy back in the day. It's definitely still very sexy. Like the girls in this show are, by even today's standards, very beautiful women. But it's not very scary. It's more hokey and silly nowadays. Dead Kids, aka Strange Behavior, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. This is a weird, like, it's part slasher, part psychological thriller, but it doesn't really do the psychological thriller part that well. The twist is kind of like, what the fuck? Why are they doing this? But it's definitely a better slasher than it is a psychological thriller. But it's pretty fun still. All Chillers Die, 3 out of 5 on the Martell scale. This is one of those, it's weird supernatural vampire-y movie with hot cheerleader girls. Definitely a fun watch. I love the kind of twist that it takes about halfway through. It plays off as a little more of a Lifetime movie at first, and then it's like, oh, okay, now we're getting down to business. But it does a good job at letting you know which characters are the bad guys and which characters are the protagonists. So that's one thing it's got going for it. Don't Torture a Duckling. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Simply because I feel like this movie was built up a lot. I feel like it has a lot of high praise, and I didn't see it. It didn't match the expectations that I had for it. It was really good. It was fun to watch, and it was fun to watch, and it had its really good points, and some of the special effects in it are fantastic for the time it was made. But I just felt like it was too long. It felt really draggy. I got bored watching it at parts. So yeah, it's a 2.5 out of 5. And Bag Boy Lover Boy, which is the October 12th, day 12 of the 31 Days of Halloween, which is the up to date edition as of recording, which I'm recording on Saturday the 12th. This will come out on Patreon on the 13th and to the public on the 17th. So I'll have a few more of the YouTube videos out by the time you're hearing this on the 17th if you're listening normally. Bag Boy Lover Boy, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Classic out of touch with reality, loner, outsider character, starts killing. But it's got a weird, like, it's got a weird twist to it. It's different in its presentation of that, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a very fun to watch horror movie. Again, those are all on Shudder. That's what you're watching for this week. Now we're gonna get into the episode. Hold on, I got to bring up my notes for the top 10 family-friendly spooky movies. Before I get started on the actual list, I wanted to lay down the criteria for which I judged. I did not count TV specials, so it had to be an actual full-length movie, a feature film. I did count movies made for TV, and I did count straight-to-video releases. But I did not count TV shows like any of the Mickey Mouse Halloween specials, or the Great Pumpkin was left out because of that reason. It's a 25-minute television episode, not a movie. But and then I judged it based on How I judge them based on how family friendly they are, how spooky they are. I only put one, if it was like a franchise, I only put one from the franchise on the list. But the franchise is representative of the entire franchise. So, you might only see one of a certain movie on the list, but the whole franchise is represented by that one movie. All right, now let's get into it. First off, I got some honorable mentions. Disney Channel original movie, Mom's Got a Date with the Vampire. Super fun watch. I can't remember the fucking guy's name, but he's like a vampire, and Carolyn Ray is the mom of these kids, and like they end up at a rockabilly club at some point. It's off the fucking rails fun. It's one of my favorites from my childhood. I remember watching it every year when it came on Disney Channel. Sadly, I don't think it comes on Disney Channel anymore. I think they've got enough newer ones that they don't play that one anymore. But yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions. And Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman, another honorable mention. Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 on the Martell scale. And Alvin and the Chipmunks Meets the Wolfman, I'm also giving a 3.3 out of 5 on the Martell scale for. Alvin and the Chipmunks Meets the Wolfman, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it says it is. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's Alvin and the Chipmunks. It's the Wolfman. Of course, they're scared and nobody believes them that there's a Wolfman because they're always exaggerating and acting out, especially Alvin. I mean, come on, what is there not to love? Okay, so let's get into the list. Number 10 on the list is Double Double Toil and Trouble. Starring the Olsen twins. I don't know if this got a theatrical release or not. I remember I had the VHS tape. I think I still do somewhere around here. But I give it a 3 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Basically, I can't remember much about the plot. I should have done a little bit more research before I recorded this. But yeah, I think one of the twins gets kidnapped, or they both get kidnapped, or they run away or something, and they end up with this witch who wants to like feed off of their youth or something. I don't fucking know. I should have done a little bit more research on this shit before I started. Number 9 on the list is Under Wraps, another Disney Channel original movie. This time the kids in this movie find a mummy. They find a escaped mummy, and they kind of become friends with the mummy and don't want to like let it go back to being a mummy, a resting mummy. It's fucking fun as hell. Like I said, I give it a 4 out of 5 on the Martell scale. You should go ahead and check that one out. I mean, these are all family friendly, so they're good to watch with the kids. I watch them as an adult and still enjoy them. Number 8 is Monster House. That is going to get a 4 out of 5 on the Martell scale as well. Monster House is one of the more recent movies on the list. Actually, it's probably the most recent. Yes, it is the most recent movie on the list. That is not to say that I didn't like Frankenweenie and like Paranorman and stuff like that. Those were good too. Monster House is just on a different level of good. Like, it's hilarious, it's kind of spooky, and it's just very well made in general. Like, I feel like it's good for a movie period, not just a kid's movie. Next on the list, number 7 is The Witches. This movie's actually legit kind of scary. I give it a 4 out of 5 on the Martell scale, of course. It's just about these witches who are at this hotel having like a witch convention, and they're trying to eat this kid that's found out about them. It's crazy as hell, but you guys should check that one out. It's from the 80s. It's a little more scary. So if you have younger kids, I probably wouldn't watch it with them because they might get fucking spooked. But it's definitely fun for, like, I'd say your 7 and up crowd. Number 6 on the list is the Monster Squad. The only reason I didn't put Monster Squad up higher on the list is because it does have some language in it. It does have some bad language. It has a little bit of... It's got a little racier content to it. There's some sexual innuendo in it. It's definitely an 80s movie. It's rated PG, but it probably would get a PG-13 based on today's standards. But it's got everybody. It's got the Wolfman, it's got Dracula, it's got Mummy, it's got the Creature, it's got Frankenstein, it's got every creature from the Universal movies is all in there. And then there's a crew of kids that, you know, they gotta get shit right before the monsters take over the world, and it's a lot of fun. I gave it a 5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Make sure you watch that one if you haven't already seen it. It's one that you might want to watch beforehand and judge on yourself whether you want your kid to see it or not. Like I said, it does have some bad language in it and some sexual innuendo. So by today's standards, it might not be as kid-friendly as it was in the 80s. Number 5 is Beetlejuice. 4 out of 5 on the Martell scale. I'm talking, of course, about Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton and the beautiful Winona Ryder in it. This is a very fun, kind of spooky, hokey movie. It's very funny. It's not as scary. I mean, there are some scary scenes, especially for like younger kids, because there's like the scene where the sandworm, the death scene of the family, these shrimps coming alive. There's a lot of scary scenes, but it's definitely more funny than it is scary. Still, of course, like, you want to use your discretion when watching these movies with your kids, of course. But I gave it a 4 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Number 4 is Halloween Town. I gave it a 4.5 on the Martell scale out of 5. This is another Disney Channel original. This is the Disney Channel original, honestly. Halloween Town is one that I still watch every year. Honestly, I probably need the whole series on DVD at this point. I think I've got the first 2, but I need them all. Like, this franchise, even the bad ones in the franchise are still pretty good, so, like, of course. Number 3 is The Addams Family. 4.5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. The Addams Family is just wholesome. Yeah, there's some elements of horror to The Addams Family, both the first movie and the Addams Family Values. Of course, I put the first one on the list, but I'm acknowledging Family Values as on par with this movie. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for the whole family. It's a family. It's a spooky family, and it's good for the family. Of course, you know, you don't want your kids dancing the mamushka, so maybe tell them not to do that, but definitely check that one out with the kids. 4.5 out of 5. Alright, we're getting down to it, y'all. Almost there. We're almost to the home plate. Number 2 is Ernest Scared Stupid. 5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. It is a perfect family spooky movie. If Halloween's rolling around and you want to watch a spooky movie with your kids, Ernest Scared Stupid is one of the go-tos. It's the must-see. It is entirely too silly to be scary. I mean, I was scared of it as a kid, so I guess you can be scared of it. The trolls are kind of scary, but, like, you just got to point out to the kids that it's, you know, it's make-believe. It's not real. Ernest does a good job at grounding that movie, though. It's so hilarious. Oh, man. I can't fucking... I know that I'm sitting here cursing up a storm doing this fucking top 10 list about family-friendly scary movies. And I'm talking to I'm talking to like my listeners like their parents. I mean, I might have a few that are parents, but I don't have kids. And I know a lot of my friends don't have kids. Well, I do have a couple friends with some kids, but either that's not here nor there. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. Number 1 on the list. Are y'all ready? I mean, I'm pretty sure you can guess. It's Hocus Pocus. 5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Another perfect family horror movie, or family Halloween movie, I guess I should say. Because it's not really horror. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's horror influenced. The Sanderson sisters, the Dennis kids. Oh man, it's perfect. It's even got a fucking music number. It's got a music number. Couple of music numbers, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, Billy the Butcher. It's got a lot of fun stuff going on in it. I just, which, if you haven't seen Hocus Pocus by now, where have you been? Like, 5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. I'm pretty sure it's a Halloween classic by anybody's judgment. So if you haven't seen Hocus Pocus, make sure you check it out this year before Halloween. If you have, watch it again. Watch it with your kids. Expose a new generation to this movie. It needs to keep going. It needs to live on. That's all I got this week, though. Thank y'all for listening, of course. Make sure you check out our Patreon. That's super important. If you're already on Patreon, then you're listening to this a full 4 days early. You get it on October 13th instead of October 17th, the Thursday. So for as little as $1 a month, you can support the podcast. You don't really get anything extra for the $1 a month tier. The $5 a month tier is where the perks come in. You get the early access to content. That includes podcast and videos for the YouTube channel. Now, obviously, I won't be uploading all the videos early to the Patreon, but because the 31 days of Halloween thing, that kind of has to be uploaded right then because it's a daily thing. But more of the scheduled releases will be released on the Patreon before they are to the public. All the podcast episodes go out to the Patreon before the public. Again, it's patreon.com/Martell's Movie Madness. That $5 tier gets you early access. The $15 tier gets you early access and 2 bonus episodes a month. The next tier up, I think, gets you some gets you a thank you note and all this crazy stuff. You have to go check it out. There's a bunch of tiers. There's one on there for all my porno freaks that want to hear me talk about porn and do reviews of porn movies and tapes that I have. That one actually comes with some physical goods. You get a pack of Penthouse trading cards. There's one called the Golden Ghouls, where you get access to my personal Snapchat, and you get personalized movie recommendations. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there. I encourage you to go check it out. Help support the podcast. Of course, if you don't want to do a monthly donation, you can just hit me up on social media, any of our social media pages, and ask about donating. The Cash App is # Trailer Trash God. That's trailer as in I'm a piece of trailer trash. Trash as in trailer trash. And God as in, God. So it's # Trailer Trash God. You can make a donation of any size to help the podcast. It would be very appreciated right now because I'm having to pay a lot of money to get my car fixed, and I need to get that back. Of course, I need a camera for the YouTube videos. I'm using my phone right now. I could use another set of headphones, a better interface. There's all kinds of expenses that go along with this podcast and the YouTube channel. So any little bit helps, of course. If you don't have the money to support us monetarily, then there's always just rating, reviewing, subscribing, letting people know about us. Just tell your friends that you listen to a really cool podcast, and it's called Martell's Movie Madness, the podcast. And, share the YouTube videos, tell everybody about the Patreon, just help out any way you can. But as always, thanks for listening, and now, let's watch some fucking movies.
So it looks like you survived, but at what cost? I guess I'll see you next week on Martell's Movie Madness, the podcast.